Join us for a review, a first one exterior and interior of the Volkswagen ID.3. Subscribe if you haven't done so far, and now let's go! In the front you can see a very round shape overall. It reminds of the VW Beetle, and this is also somewhat where this 3 name comes from. There was the Beetle, number 1, there was the Golf, number 2, and this now here as a third very important, significant, iconic car. 4 meters 26, 14 foot or 168 inches is the length, but the wheelbase is 2 meters 76 or 109 inches. And that means that the wheelbase is about 13 centimeters or 5" longer than one of the VW Golf, whereas it has the same length than the VW Golf. So, the overall length like Golf, but the wheelbase here like a Passat. That's very interesting. Will have an effect on the interior of the vehicle. Wheels come with 18 to 20 inch. Those ones are the biggest one, 20 inch. Different stylings available. This one here is this aerodynamic styling. In the rear you can see this black panel design. Then again this new retro VW logo. And those tail lamps are pretty modern definitely. But again, it has some kind of, this typical head shape they have here in the rear. So it does not look like a very sporty rear-wheel driven car. But I mean, the electric motors, they have instant torque, then this weight balance, then the low center of gravity, so quite possibly it will drive very sporty. Maximum speed, by the way, is 160 kilometers an hour, so that's about 100 miles per hour. That's of course not super high-speed German motorway, but for most countries this will be totally sufficient. Yeah, and for most German traffic situations as well. And now we have a different trim and different color for you. This one here in glacier white. Very interesting, and I think it looks pretty good in this black-white trim, doesn't it? What's your take on that? Also, this retro VW logo somehow works very well with the white car then. And in the rear, when the car is in white exterior color, this black panel design also forms an even stronger contrast. And you can even better see this ID.3 logo. The official writing is indeed ID.3. But here I think it looks a little bit strange because the dot is so close to the D and then there's space to the 3. Yeah, but that's a minor detail. Beetle? Yeah. So, but I personally would have wished if this car would have had a real name, like the Beetle or the Golf. And talking about the different battery sizes, here again in the cutaway model, where you can very well see again how it's placed in the lower end of the vehicle. And here the rear drive, this one is here as the electric motor. This is also the place where you can recharge the car. Talking about recharging, at the moment maximum 100 kilowatts DC. Later on there will be 125 kilowatt DC charger available and AC charging up to 11 kilowatt. And then there are 3 battery sizes actually, 48 kilowatt hours, 55 or 77. So those 3 sizes available, and of course the price differs, and Volkswagen promised that the entry price, for example the German reference, is below 30,000 euros than with the smallest battery. And if you pick like the mid-range battery and some trim, and you might end up like 40,000 plus something. So yeah, it's something like a high-trimmed Golf diesel that will be approximately the price region. And the ranges you can get from those batteries will vary about 330 to 550 kilometers. That's about 200 to 350 miles. So what about this interior? Come inside. This is an early prototype model, so some finishes will be nicer than you see it at the moment. If this one remains hardpack or will be soft touch, we don't know yet. We have to see about that. Leatherette inside here, an insert. Then some reasonable space here at the inside of the doors, but not too high for bigger bottles. Then you can see a lot of buttons have gone. Those are rather those touch fields then, for example, for which light mode is on. Then you can see the steering wheel has a modern form or inserts right there, like we know from the T-Cross. Then a small screen for the instruments, and the interesting thing, it moves alongside with the steering wheel. I'll soon show that to you. Those ones are the Ergo Active seats, beautiful seats here with a fabric, living room style, grey fabric here, then the brighter microfiber right there, so visually a very nice job already. And standard, this car will also come animal free because they wanted to be a sustainable car. Also, it is CO2 neutral as far as it goes, as far as it is possible. So what's the concept there? Of course, there is CO2 output during production, and they try to, for example, power the plants then with renewable energy. And where you cannot, go around the CO2, they have, for example, forestation projects, where they plant some trees to even this CO2 out. So very interesting and good that they finally take such an approach, especially, considering the latest background with the diesel scandal then. So, in seating position, it's a little bit like in the Golf. There's enough headroom. Moment is 86 or 6'1" if you haven't subscribed yet. This one here with the panoramic roof. The other car we'll show to you very soon does not have one. Electric seat control right there. And yeah, it's a standard compact size car seating position here in the front. But the basic overview first, here soft touch, a bright one at the top of the dashboard, then this LED ambient light, very beautiful. A simple setup, always with this 10-inch screen. It will always come in this very size right here. Again, you can see the setup here with the big screen and the rather small instrument, but you can very well read it because it's very close to the driver. Then again, the retro logo here at the steering wheel. There will be some commands here, for example, for the cruise control or for the volume also at the steering wheel. Then everything is, so to say, almost buttonless. Of course, you have the hazard lights right there, for example, a climate hotkey, for assistance systems that you can deactivate, maybe a lane assist if that's too annoying. And the temperature control will also be here, that you can swipe here for plus or minus temperature, or here also for the volume, like this, for the audio. By the way, although this is a prototype, it already has a nice door closing sound. Yeah, that's the Volkswagen finish. As for that, yeah, this one again is not ready yet. We have to see about that later in the final production vehicle then. But of course, similar styling. And when you take a look at the styling in the rear, you can see it's the same in the front. Nice here also in this high trim level with a grey fabric again and the bright microfiber Isofix at the outside of the seats, each on the outer seats. But you can see the bench is falling way backwards somehow. What about the seating comfort there? We'll soon experience that. And you can already see from here 2 USB-C devices there in the middle tunnel, which is not a real middle tunnel, since this one here is the MEB building platform. You do not need this middle tunnel anymore, so it goes almost, yeah, it's a small step. It's, for example, often done, it was a suggestion by you, one of you guys, for structural rigidity. So just a small step in the middle, but it's actually quite good because then you can move around here in the middle seats. The middle part is also actually quite soft from the seating, but a little harder from the back. So I can sit here as a tall adult in the middle, but more important, what about the normal seats here? And yeah, this is the space I would have in a Passat indeed, in front of my legs. So yes, it's actually true. Golf on the outside, Passat on the inside. Yeah, this retro logo has something. I found it quite cool. What about you? Tell me. So, then the hatch, there is this floor cover where below that you can, for example, store some charging cables. We also know that, yeah, it's like a Golf style definitely, and square dimensions. So what about those dimensions? The normal length of the trunk here is about 80 centimeters. And the width is about 1 meter. And the height here up to the cover is about 40 centimeters. And I have already flipped one seat, and to the driver's seat I would be driving. That one then is about 1 meter 55. And now I go around and also flip the rest. You can also see how the ski hatch could be applied right there. And then here we go with the maximum setup. Oh, I think I have the cover here. I haven't put it in properly. So the right side is a little bit higher. Yeah, that's the way. Now it looks better. So this one then is the full setup. I think very well usable overall. Of course, you can also just remove this lower floor cover to have a little bit more height. So different interior trim here also. For example, you can get different colors for the inside of the doors, and also this panel here in white. Also the steering wheel is available in white, but at the moment when you have it in white, it will also come in animal skin spec, so that's a warning from my side. Then here again with this brown contrast, but I think this dual color design for the interior is very interesting approach, definitely. Also again with the retro logo right here. Prototype software standings here in this display. So just to show you a little bit more variation, how it can actually look like. And now to our conclusion for today with the Volkswagen ID.3. Will it be as iconic as the VW Beetle or as the VW Golf? We do not know yet. It definitely means a lot for the company, and I think this paradigm shift, thinking about a CO2 neutral production, for example, being more environmentally friendly, being sustainable, this is also something that, comes from the background. It also, in this case, has to come from top down. And this car is supposed to stand for that. Of course, we'll follow the development if they really stick true to their word, because that's also something which is very important to us here at Autogefühl. On the exterior, we definitely see some quotes of the VW Beetle, so it has some retro elements, also fitting to this new retro style logo of VW. Especially then with the short overhangs, the long wheelbase, the car appears bigger than the Golf visually, but it's actually the same length, as I said. And indeed, it is true that it has an interior space of a Passat, especially a lot of legroom there in the rear. Not exactly sure how comfortable it is, because the rear bench is falling so much backward that it would be one criticism point in the interior. The software in the infotainment was not ready yet, so we cannot rate that. So we have to do that at a later stage, but we'll of course keep you updated on that. But the setup with the small screen, with the steering wheel that always moves together with the steering wheel, actually makes sense. Nothing is blocking your view. There will be a head-up display available, as I said also. And the screen of the central infotainment is also actually right-sized, hardly any buttons left, everything a very clean layout. So this already looks quite promising. And on the one hand, they can use existing stuff like, be it door handles or the door closing sound, which is very solid in the Volkswagen Corporation. Of course, on the other hand, they have to work on new stuff which hasn't been there before. So it will be very interesting if they can live up to this challenge. Again, about 30,000 sold so far. So basically all pre-sold cars, which could be pre-sold, are actually sold. So this is a first positive sign. Of course, it will be very interesting if they can, for example, keep up with the sales of a Tesla Model 3. If you think about this, German internal competition, we recently had also the Opel Corsa E, the electric version of the Corsa, and that one, was also about the same price in a somewhat entry spec, but with some equipment in it. But this one here actually is, of course, the same size then, the same price, but a bigger size. So you get more car for the money. So could this then be the German electric car for the masses? Probably yes, because they build so many cars on this very platform that they can also offer it at an attractive price. And this will be probably the most important thing about this vehicle. Battery sizes and range will be enough if you want so. It depends on your driving profile. If you don't drive so long kilometers in one route, then you can also save money and go for a smaller battery. It's actually also more environmentally friendly then. And if you really want to, go all the way, you have to invest a little bit more money, and that, of course, get a little bit more range. Of course, now interested to look to your feedback. Please give us some comments here on the ID.3. Let's discuss this car, and we'll keep you updated, of course, very soon with driving it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Subscribe if you haven't done so far. See you next time.